Hello, and welcome to another episode of Point to Point. It's the show where I drive from one point to another and try to get to the point. It's the way for me to fill in my morning commute, because the news never stops, but traffic sure does. Hello, and welcome to the show this morning. We've got a jam-packed episode, and by that I mean I have one point that I would like to get to. I was listening to the Game This Morning broadcast from Jeff Grubb over at Giant Bomb, and he dropped a piece of knowledge that, a piece of rumor, I will say, that has been in my mind all morning that I didn't know about. So if you don't know, Game Awards are this week. I think they are on Thursday the 11th. Maybe those dates line up, who could say? And as per usual, there's a bunch of stuff that is happening in the Game Awards, less so awards and more so announcements and stuff. And one of the announcements that is rumored to be happening, I don't know if you've heard this, it is rumored that Half-Life 3 will be announced at Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards. And I mostly just have one big question for you. Does anyone care? Not you, obviously. You are a person who's listening to a gaming podcast on the internet. You probably care. You probably know about Half-Life. But when the general public's understanding of Half-Life, when the most prominent character of Half-Life that people know is the G-Man from Skibbity Toilet, does Half-Life have any pull in the culture anymore? I know that Valve does this a lot, quote unquote a lot. They launched a new headset with Half-Life Alyx. So Half-Life still exists. There are people who work at Valve who care very much about Half-Life, but this feels very much like we as the out and proud gaming community care much more for Gordon Freeman and his goddamn crowbar than the rest of the world does. And I just really wonder if the amount of time we've had to wait for a new Half-Life game is going to matter at all. Have people just forgot about Half-Life in the, again, not in the Steam, people who have Steam know what Half-Life is for the most part, but in the larger cultural consciousness. We have talked about Half-Life 3 for so long that it has reached this GTA 6 level of just name recognition, and I just really don't know if that holds true. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we will see a little bit when the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond sales numbers come out, and we realize that this sequel that came out 7+ years after it was announced, and almost 20 years since the last game in the series came out, will show us that people have long memories and they'll hold on to it. But the announcement of Half-Life 3 coming at the Game Awards is definitely a pop-off moment for capital G gamers, but I do just really wonder if that hits with literally anyone else. And you can start doing the math and build your red string board to put it all together. That okay, they're going to launch new hardware. They're going to launch a VR headset and also a console, which then pairs nicely with the Steam Deck. They've got the 3 form factors. That let's do this. You can play Alyx on your thing, and then you'll be able to, on your frame, and then you'll be able to, play the new Half-Life that probably comes in a VR mode and or has a VR mode or is VR only. I couldn't imagine it being VR only, but who knows. And then I don't know, the secret ending is Here's what gets me to buy. Here's what gets me to buy Half-Life 3 and a Steam frame, kids. You put the full release of In the Valley of the Gods at the end of that thing, that'll get me. Get at me, Chris Remo. Yeah, I don't know. I keep wondering, like, the thing that popped into my head the most is that, like, you walk down the aisles of a Target or a Walmart, and there are just heinous creations, blind to box stuff for skibbity toilet creatures. And just seeing the face of the G-Man is, like, so shocking to me every time it happens. And, like, is that what they lead with? Like, because, like, that's what sells the game, right? Like, the origin story of Skibbity Toilet's G-Man, you find out why he's in that toilet. Sells the consoles, it sells everything else right off the shelf. Like, I don't know. I just wonder how much pull something like Half-Life has, because we keep seeing these. I feel like this is, like, mean to call it a legacy sequel, but you see these games that are, like, much lauded coming back after a huge amount of time, and it's usually remakes of them. Like, the big one that's on the mind right now are the Dragon Quest games, like Dragon Quest 3 and then 1 and 2. But those are, like, rebuilds of those original games that have all the things you love in them and then some more. And man, wouldn't it be a real moment at the Jeff Keighley Game Awards to have Half-Life, like, the Oranger box, the tangerine case, and it comes out with, remasters of Portal and Team Fortress and Half-Life. Man, what a dream. Yeah, I wonder if anyone cares, like, anyone outside of the group of people who are listening to this, and if that is the Master Chief of Valve. But it always seems odd to me that Steam and Valve as a company are trying to sell hardware based on their own IP, and, like, obviously they have to have an inbuilt, development system, because they do sell games. What you doing, truck? They do sell games, so, like, it's hard to know. It's hard to know how much they actually need of that stuff. But the more that I think about it, the more it's just, well, it's called the Steam machine. It's not the Valve box, right? Like, it's the Steam machine, and that is for playing your Steam games. And one of them happens to be Half-Life. And as they step further into the hardware space, as they've kind of been tiptoeing for a while now, you can see that the game output that they're putting out has, like, been reduced to mostly tech demos to some degree, and it becomes less important. Like, when you have a business that prints money like Steam does, what you need to do as a not business strategist is find more ways to get more people attached to the platform so that they buy more games and you make your fees. Like, it is a much better version of the Netflix model, where you don't have to have Netflix studios funding all of the things to hopefully be the thing that pops off to get people, in the ecosystem. You just rely on, your quote-unquote monopoly to get people, like, force people to be on your platform, or force them off with the horses, another chit-chat for a different day. And then you just rake in the dough that way. And until someone is able to shake up the paradigm that Steam is the place for PC games, which, I mean, you look at Epic and Microsoft not being able to do that. Like, I don't know who is going to step in and, like, dislodge Steam from that position unless there is, like, legislation to do it. You have, like, some of it cornered on itch, but most of it is on Steam still. And so you just need to do stuff to get people in the ecosystem. So why spend the time and the money on making Half-Life when I suspect a Half-Life 3 is a drop in the bucket compared to how much Steam makes in 1 month, let alone, break that out over a course of years. So I wonder if what ends up being Half-Life 3, maybe it is a packing game, because I know a lot of the people who work at Valve are people who, maybe appreciate a good packing game. It seems like the nostalgic thing to do. It also seems like a good way to make a, $700 to $1,000 little living room cube make a little bit more sense. But, I guess we'll have to wait and see to find out, like, is Half-Life 3 going to be the thing that comes out? And if it is, like, do you think Half-Life 3, like, truly, in your soul, like, when you sit down and think about it, do you think that Half-Life 3 gets a bigger pop-off than Silksong getting a release date? Because I think that's, like, the thing I think about the most, is that the time for Half-Life 3 has passed. Like, I think we're just kind of done. Like, it will be good, I'm sure, and people will like it. But the like, faded ARG of, like, that being gamer QAnon is gone. Like, I don't think that people are doing that anymore. And if they are, it is definitely not a critical mass of people doing it anymore. It just becomes this thing that, we're paying off the rumored Half-Life 3, and then also the same struggles for a Half-Life 3 that have always existed exist still. Like, is that game going to be good? Is it going to be held to a higher standard because it took so long? Does it have to pay off a part of the culture that it never signed up for? I mean, who's to say, right? But yeah, that's today's episode about Half-Life 3 potentially being announced at the Game Awards. We'll see. I will probably not be tuning in, but I'll scroll Blue Sky every once in a while to see if Gabe shows up and wants to knife fight Jeff Keighley for the Half-Life 3 rights. Man, what a weird time. That's gonna be today's episode. Thanks for hanging out. I gotta get back to work. Weird. We'll talk to you later. Have a good start of your day, end of your day, middle of your day. We'll see ya.